Everybody, week 2 of Let's Go Again. Dylan's taking on grandmas. Dylan, how was the last week of your training?
Last week was pretty good, actually. I'm looking at my training calendar. Tuesdays are the worst because it's the day after having done a hard workout on the Monday, and I just feel awful. I'm just like crawling along. But then over the next few days, I get going and I feel okay. Just Tuesday to Thursday is just like easy volume, getting some stuff in. And then Friday's always the big day of the week in this build.
Friday's like the one that's circled on the calendar type thing.
Yeah.
Have you noticed? Sorry, it's in like because obviously as we do get older, the recovery is gonna suffer. Obviously with life, the recovery is gonna suffer just because of the time to put into it. So then that like it's like a double whammy, and so you wake up Tuesday morning or you can't even walk. What do you? So how do you find time to recover intentionally on a busy schedule? Did you ever find the Normatex that went missing?
No. So the story behind the Normatex, I would love those for recovery, Rob.
Oh my
When I
gosh, I
left
would love those for just like life.
yeah. So when I left Vancouver, I think Coach Tony Tomsich had them at that time, and I just left them with him. We are like moving our entire life to Ottawa, so they didn't seem that important at that time. And then he passed them on to someone else when he went to Germany, and now I have no idea where they are. So if you're listening to this and you have my Normatec legs, which actually I got from Simon Whitfield, Olympic triathlon gold medalist. It's
Oh
pretty cool.
wow, they pedigree.
Yeah. So if you have them and you're not using them, I don't know, maybe if they can find their way back to me, that would help with my recovery. Because otherwise, Rob, I usually walk in the door and like try and eat walk in the door from a run, try to eat something, try and give myself a little bit of time before like getting to work. But mostly it's like rush to my desk to either get on calls or do some sort of task. So eating is the big thing, making sure I'm eating well after workouts. Otherwise, put my feet up. Actually, it's kind of funny. On a Friday afternoon when I'm working, I'll like set up on the couch. I'll move my double screen over to this like jerry rig system. I put it on the ottoman, the screen. Francine walked in one day afterwards, like, "What happened in here?" I was like, "Oh, I wanted to put my feet up."
Literally.
So old school recovery. Put my feet up, eat some food. Other than that, I don't know. Try and sleep
Yeah.
decently.
Yeah, and something is like the best recovery is kind of free. And I mean, obviously you have to pay for your food, but like proper nutrition, proper hydration, and time off feet. And but it's finding the time isn't free because we got other stuff going on. Man, like it was so nice when napping was part of the job.
Yeah, I was a pretty decent napper. You were a good napper too, eh?
Every day, every day. Do you know who the king napper was though?
Yeah.
Taylor Milne.
Awesome. Love that guy. I love telling the story about you taking that guy to the Esso station before he went to the Olympics to buy up all the chewing tobacco in the gas station.
Yeah, so Taylor Milne, 2008, qualifies for the Olympics. The Olympics are in Beijing that year. Taylor Milne's from North Bay, Ontario, so he's got North Bay, Ontario genetics in him. And as we're I'm driving him to go to the Olympics, and he's like, "Can we stop at the gas station?" He gets literally every canister of chewing tobacco at the gas station. And the guy's like, "What?" And I just told him that I was like, "I bet you'd never guess where this guy's going." He's going to the Olympics because they didn't have chewing tobacco in China, and he ran out in China, so he had to go and source out chewing tobacco from the Canadian baseball team.
Amazing.
And then he made another Olympics in the steeplechase. What like that guy was I love Taylor. He's one of the people who we were really good buds, and unfortunately I'm terrible with keeping in contact with people, but like he was a beauty. He was just a good guy and an amazing athlete. I've seen that guy do some amazing work. So, yeah, anyways, he could nap. Maybe it's because he could nap really well.
Unfortunately, there's no time. There's no time for the naps these days, but Say la vie. I'll try and be better. If people have recommendations on what else I should be doing. Jake was asking me if I take protein powder. I'm like, no. Maybe I should.
I mean, I feel like those things have been optimized a lot since we've been doing it. So maybe we should talk to Jeremy's partner, Carol Ann,
Yeah.
sports dietitian. She's great. I mean, I haven't spoken to her specifically, but given her background, her education, she might be someone worth talking to. Let's talk about the nitty gritty of certain sessions last week. Okay, let's
Yeah.
talk about your two key sessions. Your key sessions are Mondays and
Fridays.
Fridays, right? So let's talk about. I don't think we talked about last Monday's session, did we?
I know. I think we just kind of glossed over it.
Okay, well let's quickly touch upon that, and we'll go from there. So what that look like?
Last Monday I did sets of 7 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes. Did three sets of that.
Yeah, you did
Talk
mention how
about
you kind
this?
of went over it because you were on your redemption.
That's right. Then I played a chill and it went fine. There was like nothing like out of the ordinary. I mean, it's a good workout, like 45 minutes of kind of threshold work, like slightly faster than half marathon effort, short recoveries in there. Yeah, it was one where I was just trying to like not push it too much, not try and blow it out. And it went well.
feeling smooth.
I felt smooth in that one.
I have
But
a
raw.
I have a question, and I've because it's something I look for, right? It's like when we were running intervals at 2 minutes and 50 seconds a kilometer. Say we're doing K repeats at 250, and now we're doing those same reps, but we're doing them at 315. Can you notice you're going that much slower? How, like, in terms of the sensations of your body?
Ooh, that's a good question. Like, yes and no. I noticed that when I try and find that like comfortably hard effort, like I say, when you like used to be able, and I used to be able to hit, sub 3 minute Ks doing that, I just know now that like I'm just not moving at the same velocity. It just, you're not moving through the air as quickly, and you actually notice that. But unfortunately, the effort is as hard.
So true, because I was watching videos from the Sun Run of like Cam and Chuck, like those guys, like the way they look when they're running, that it doesn't look that much different than other people, and that's something that's always got me in the sports. Like you look at the top runners, you can't you can't tell how fast they're moving based on just looking at them. It's all in relative of their competitors how fast they're running, and that's and same with like when I did the Sun Run, I ran 34 minutes, and I was running as hard as I could, and I didn't look at my watch until halfway, and I was like, so that's what that pace is now, right? Because that effort used to be 14:45 and today it's 16:30, whatever, but it's the same. It's like I definitely know I'm slower because yeah, it's not as like it's, but it's like it's hard to like really fine tune it, and like you said, it's a percentage of your overall effort. If it's 100% effort, it's 100% effort, and that feels the same. It's just the velocity is sadly dropping off a lot.
It's tough, but you know what's helping me not have the velocity drop off? I'm gonna push ahead to Friday's long run.
We had some breakthroughs in Friday. You are raving about these. You can't wait to talk about this.
I should have brought the shoes with me. They're downstairs. I'm not gonna go get them. People can just look them up online. But I wore these Puma. I don't even know the name. It's so complicated. Fast R3, I think. There's some other words in there. Anyway, I wore these new shoes that Puma. They did a good job of hyping them. They like put a bunch of people in the like sub elites in the Boston Marathon and the London Marathon. They put them on them.
Kim Bennett had
And
him.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was kind of neat. And obviously, like their pros wore them too. Rory knocked it out of the park in Boston. So hype. I wore them, and honestly, well, there's a few things from that. They were great. I ran really fast in this workout, like faster than I expected to. But the workout was interesting because it was, and there's some things I wanted to dig into. Because it was we did three by like eight, 8K, 3 by 5 miles. Um, but I went into this workout and I was like fearing it a little bit because the last marathon pace workout I did, I just like fell apart. So We did it on a loop, which I think was important because I knew like start and finish. It was like 2 2 mile loops and then a smaller loop, which was a little bit longer than a mile. But what that allowed me to do, Rob, is like lock in more to my perceived effort. I put my watch on just the time because I knew,
Hmm.
okay, I'm just going to go around these two big loops and this little loop. And I just set out and I told myself, don't look at the splits, just run by feel. And I'm running the first one. I'm like, this feels comfortable, but I'm a bit worried. Like, what if it's really slow? And when I hit that lap split at the end, but I just, you know, I got a little bit of reassurance that at the end of that one, it was like, I forget the pace, 320 something per K. I was like, okay, good. Next one, just go out and just try and run a little bit harder effort. So I do that and I'm like 35 seconds faster for the rep.
Hmm.
It's quite a bit faster per K. And then I go the last one, like, okay, dig a little more, it's faster again. And this got me thinking about a few things. One thing was just like, how do we teach ourselves and the people we coach how to run more by like perceived effort and how to execute workouts without being so focused on your watch? The other thing was like how we measure the success of a workout. Because what happened was I did the first rep and I saw like the distance of the interval. It was like actually ended up being 8.22 or 23 kilometers. So I did some mental math and I just figured the next two reps would be that because I was running the same thing. But these Garmin watches, don't trust them. It
Yeah.
measured it. It actually measured it longer on the next two reps. So when it comes up on Strava, the paces are even faster
Yeah.
than I thought. Right. So I had already checked the box on this workout for myself, doing the math just in my head without looking at the Strava data and been like, yeah, I ran this, and this. That's great. Check the boxes. Then I find it's even faster. But what if I came back and the data told me I'm slower? What's the value in us, going through the process and saying, I think I checked the boxes on this workout versus then looking at the data and the data is like, it's only a percent off. But what if that like really switches your mindset? Like, oh, maybe this workout wasn't as good as I thought it was. Cause I walked away from the workout and was like super pumped. This is great. Should that be enough?
Yeah.
Should the data not matter at that point? So yeah, I talked forever there, but those were like, and then the last thing obviously is these Garmin watches, man. You can't trust them. I love the people that like ran the marathon, but it was long. I'm like, dude, you're like, you gotta trust the people that measured the course for this race that you ran, not that your watch is. Yeah. So anyway, those are some things to unpack from this long run. Besides these Puma shoes being fantastic.
Yeah, and there is a lot out there. It's so tricky, man. It's so tricky of like how much reliance or how much weight we put upon these metrics based on technology that can be flawed. And like you said, it's a percentage here, a percentage there, but that can totally alter that, right? I think you have the benefit in that you have so much experience that you know, okay, that was a good workout based on how I felt and how I executed because you've been there. But for like a newer runner who doesn't have that ability to really read their body, that can be like, oh, I want to do this, and we're so reliant on a pace or these metrics. And like you said, like how do we train that? And like and I agree. It's like the watch is a tool, but your body's in charge, and we need to be able to read our body because I've thought about that too in races sometimes. It's like when I look at a watch, like oftentimes all it's gonna do is like mess with my head. It's be like, oh, you have to go faster. Like actually, like yeah, how do we do more workouts? But then everyone they want their data, so it's like don't look at your watch, don't look at your watch, or like hey, try to do go faster every rep type thing, and to really get that sense of feeling. But I think a lot of runners these days, they were born with a watch on their wrist, right? They were born with a Garmin on the wrist, and that's all they know where you and we're lucky. Like I talk about this, I miss the days where it was you just went into a forest and you chased your friends who were, like I remember some days at Speed River, man, we were out at Gun Club and we're doing 8 by 5 minutes in the winter on these dirt roads. And I'm just locked in on Eric Gillis's back. I'm just locked in on Reed Coolset's back, and I'm like, I'm just not gonna let them go today. And that's my workout. I had no freaking clue how fast I was running. I knew how hard I was running, and I knew if it was, that was so pure to me, and it was so fun, and I got so fit doing that. But we have that experience, so yeah, like how do we replicate that with our runners and people we run? Because I think pacing is the sense of pacing and reading your body is probably like the greatest tool a runner could actually have.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially more and more so, I think, as the distance gets longer. Like the marathon, if you're like, constantly reacting to the information that your watch is giving you without thinking about how you're feeling, it can be really detrimental long term to be like making so many, minute adjustments along the way. Just like it's a long time to be doing that. Hey, do you remember there was one time when Miles Marathon was getting going early days in Vancouver, and we brought some people out for a workout and we tried to make them do, it was like 1 mile you can run with your watch, and then we tried to get them to take off their watch and see if they could repeat the same time, if they could run the same time without having any data to look at. And that was like a super interesting way to try and gain some of these skills that we're talking about. But there were some people that refused to take off their watch. They just like, nope, I wear my. That's what you said. Some people are born as runners with a watch on. There were people that were like, no, I got data 24/7 on myself, and I don't want to take off my watch for.
Yeah,
So then we had to invent the like tape. Okay, can we tape over your watch? Can we cover it up? Because people didn't want to take off their watch.
I think we got to do. I think we got to do more workouts like that because yeah, like that being able to see it and sense it and trust. And a lot of it is trusting yourself because people don't trust themselves. Like you said, even early in the workout, you're like, I want to look. I don't know, but like, because you want to make sure you don't trust yourself. I've done a couple of things with Lululemon as like a just like an experiential thing because this is like people who don't really run a whole lot, and we'll take them to like a loop, and I'll be like, okay, and I will time it. I'll like go run this loop, and this is an idea I got from my buddy Mike. It's like run this loop, and I'm going to time you, and they go run the loop, and I time them, and everyone writes down their time, and I'm like, okay, try to do it as close as possible on the next loop, right? And the people who are closest, like win, quote unquote. And you can do it as like an elimination. It's like all right, we have like six people, and the last people are further, and it's also remarkable how close people can get. It really is. Even if it's like a kilometer loop, oftentimes people are pretty dang close. So it's like I think it's definitely worth doing that because like reading that perception. And it's like when it's like I think we like to replicate what the Africans do a lot, and they do that. They're the best at running on feel.
Yeah, they love running on field for sure. And but I think the loop thing, just in general that you're describing, I think it's good in general. Like we do the in Vancouver, the group does that Big Oz loop a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And even though everyone still has the watch, I still think like the familiarity of doing the same thing and knowing, okay, generally I feel like this when I'm going uphill on this section of this loop, and I feel like this when I'm going on this. And they're always going to look at the watch to get the validation that they're doing what they think they are, but they're going to kind of perceive their effort on different parts of that loop better than if you just like sent them off in a straight line that they weren't familiar with, right? As like a place to do a workout. So the loop is good. I was also thinking like the repeatability of workouts, and as coaches and even as an athlete, there's like this perception that if you do the same workout a bunch of times that like it's you're it's like not it's not like exciting, or it's like the coach isn't putting in effort because they're just like giving you
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
workout. But on the flip side of that, repeating workouts is like really good for learning this kind of thing that I was talking about, and you can like really try and hone in on effort a little bit more. So I don't know. We'll see if anyone ever tries anything differently than just staring at their watch and hoping that the pace is what they say it will be. But
Well,
there's something there.
it's kind of going the other way sometimes, I think. Now you're finishing every rep and doing a lactate test to make sure you're within. I mean, I get the grounding in science of all that, but like at the same time, it's like you're just making it so not fun. You're taking the art out of it. You're just taking like that like the jazz and the art out of running and making it. You're just trying to be a robot. And I get it for performance, but it's I don't know, man. Like yeah, it's just like the feeling of running, and it's like, and that's I mean I guess it kind of ties into a little bit what I wanted to talk to take like a little bit like the why we run in the first place. Do we run so much for performance? Is it all about performance, or is it the way it makes your body feel? You should probably want to lean into the way it makes your body feel rather than being so tied up in these numbers.
100%. I think that was like the epiphany that I had after this long run, right? It was like I was, thrilled with the feeling of the workout and knowing that I was like uh, having a good one. But then it's like, how do you not get tied up in the numbers?
Yeah,
It's just so.
it is tough. Yeah, to also resonate that fact, when I ran my 117 half marathon, I felt great. I loved the way it felt because it felt like I was pushing my line and it felt like I was in control of it, and that was great. And it was not nearly 2 years ago, if I was like 117, why'd I even bother, right? But it was just finding that feeling again, and finding, and I think that's like a lot about what kind of this journey you're on right now, right? It is finding your why in running and what gets you out the door. And let's take a step back to like, you know, a lot of, I mean, most people here know you and know your accomplishments, but like got you, we're going way back. What got you into running as a youngster in the first place? What was the initial fire, the initial snap of why you're in this sport?
It's funny that you bring that up now because it actually has a lot to do with what you were just talking about. I first started doing cross country when I was in grade 5 or 6, and I loved the feeling of whipping through some like small gravel trails and just like a 12-year-old boy who's just like used to rough out and just being crazy. That feeling of just like hitting the trees as you go by
Yeah.
that are like hanging down and like jumping up and smacking them. That was like, and trying to have them hit your buddy behind you as they come. That was like my first experience with like long distance running, quote unquote, that I can remember as like a fun feeling. That honestly, quite honestly, from there, like winning was awesome. As
Yeah,
as
yeah.
a kid, I was pretty good, pretty young. So that validation I got from winning, even the local elementary school cross country race, was something that like got me tied into the sport.
You're the
But it was also
fastest kid on the playground. That's
just
a flex, man. That's a huge flex.
totally. I mean, the cross country is probably one of the least cool sports out there. I still wanted to be an NHL hockey player. That was the real goal when I was a kid. But I figured this running thing might be able to help me along the way, even though I was a goalie. So like that didn't really translate at all to being a hockey goalie. But yeah, over the years, I just like enjoyed the challenge of it. I loved that. I really liked that it was an individual sport in a lot of ways. I was not that I was like a loner as a kid, but I liked that I was kind of in control of my own destiny in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. Like I got frustrated in team sports a lot with like the other guys not trying hard enough,
Because yeah,
basically.
when you're competitive, you want to compete, right? Yeah, you want to win.
Yeah, so I was competitive, definitely. So I like the competitive side of it. And then I think once I got to high school, it was like the competition side of it was obviously huge, and just challenging myself. There's so much to reach for, whether it was, trying to win officer championships or keep up with my training partners. I was lucky to have a couple guys a couple years ahead of me in high school that I trained in the same track club as, and I could just chase them around. Like you said, when you're, training the guys at Speed River, to just like chase these guys around, and the accomplishment was trying to stay with them. And that was fun.
Were you a Frontenac? Is that where you
Yeah, Frontenac secondary school, the Falcons. Go Falcons.
Kingston, Ontario?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that whole tale resonates with me absolutely. So, and then, so you had you, because you were like, I still remember like it's in high school when I first really dove into running. Like, I wasn't as good as you in high school, but like, you remember who the fast kids were at OFSA. You remember the Nate Brennans and you remember the Dan Tripps and you remember the Dylan Wykeses and like you go to meet, you're like, oh, well, those guys are really good. And you go to OFSA and you'd see all the coaches with their all their people getting recruited, and it was such a big deal. And I remember one time being at like an event and like Kurt Benninger, remember Kurt, and Adam Horshan, they were getting like they got like their Team Canada kit for like a junior team, and it was like the most jealous I've ever been in my life. It was like I need that in my life, right? It was that little scene there. So and then you went from Kingston and you went to Providence University, obviously in the NCAA, and had a good experience there. And when you were going through university and coming out of it, did you when did you make the decision? It's like I'm going to keep on doing this.
Yeah, I was actually injured my senior year at Providence. So it was really tough. Like I didn't run at all, I don't think, for the last 3 months of university. I just partied and hung out and finished my degree. But I was lucky to, at that point, I connected with Steve Boyd, who was then my coach for the next few years. He lived just down the street from me in Kingston. And he just had a real passion for the sport that, I was successful enough in university that I thought, oh, I think I can be better. I think I can improve. But there's no support system there for someone at my level. I was not coming out of university with like pro contract offers or anything like that. So it was kind of hard to find that balance, but Steve really encouraged me to keep running. He helped me get back from a stress fracture to within a few months running some half decent times, enough so that I was like, okay, maybe I should try and keep going. And I was also fortunate to have at Providence, there's lots of post collegiate people around who were super successful. So there was Olympians, Amy Rudolph. These names are, not going to be familiar to a lot of people now, but Mark Carroll, Kim Smith, Keith Kelly. So people who were running professionally, and some of them were my teammates, some of them were a few years older, but there was a culture there that running was something you could do after university. I wasn't at the level of the people that were doing it, but I saw that. And I think I saw with like hard work, maybe I could get there too. So that was really encouraging. Whereas I think if I went to a school, like actually, I did go to the University of Texas very briefly. I don't talk about this often, but because I got injured my senior year at Providence, I had some eligibility, and the coach at Texas recruited me to go there. I went for a semester, and it was kind of funny because like there was people around there, but the culture, like they're a super successful team, but the culture was like just about the team being successful as a team, and running beyond that wasn't
Yeah.
explored or really talked about a lot. Whereas at Providence, it was like for a lot of people, they were just looking at it as a stepping stone to doing more in the future. So I think I was pretty fortunate to have that kind of motivated me.
Yeah, and that's interesting how like you saw that as a means of successful, and that would get you running. And I saw the same thing. It's like you have to be in an environment that leads to success. And I don't think it's a coincidence that what we do now with Mile to Marathon. With Mile to Marathon, when we started the group, it was like you need like having a group is such a valuable way to be a successful runners. We do personalized coaching and we were, coaching people like this, that it's like, if you get in a group, you can do amazing things. So we wanted to take that aspect of group running and like have it accessible to everybody. But at the same time, we're not a traditional track club. We're not a social club. We're people who take their running seriously and want to get better. And and just having that group dynamic makes all the honestly, it makes all the difference in the world when you're out there on a Saturday morning and you got 33K. It's nice to be like, okay, cool. I know my crew's going to be there and I know I got people to work with.
Absolutely. And I'm feeling that now too. I'm getting experience that because Coach Jake Cameron here in Ottawa and I are doing this build together. And we match up in a lot of ways. We'll some workouts we won't even see each other. Like when we did the long run, we warmed up together, we ran our own paces and cooled down together. But just like having someone out there that is like doing the same thing, suffering just as much as you. It keeps you
Yeah.
motivated. It keeps you going, right? And I think that's been super important for me this build to kind of enjoy the process as
Yeah.
much. And I think I would probably do the training anyways, but I'd probably be a lot more miserable if I didn't have Jake along for the ride. And I think he would. Maybe we'll get him on here at some point. And he can say differently, but I think he would say the same thing. So yeah, having some training partners, having some buddies to share the miles with is like
Yeah.
no matter what part of the sport you're at, where you are in the sport.
Yeah, it can allow you to just go that much deeper, or just like take a little bit of burden off you when you're on your sixth of 10K repeat, and you're like, I'm just gonna stare at somebody. I don't have the energy to do math. I know this person's my buddy. I know that what pace they're gonna go. I'm gonna run with them. So let's take a. It's again, we're kind of weaving in and out here. Last week, within your running volume, what was your volume?
I hit 128
Sick.
kilometers. Yeah, so it was good. I got to take a rest day on Saturday. Actually, went for a bike ride.
Oh, nice. Where'd you go? What'd you do?
Yeah,
Did you go hard?
Francine
Tell
and
me.
I, Francine and I did 45K.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was nice, like first bike ride of the season, nice and easy. It was like kind of a recovery thing, and then yeah, wrapped up the week with an easy 15K run on Sunday. Actually, that reminds me, something I wanted to talk about is my kids were supposed to come on. They were gonna ride their bikes with me on this run. So it's kind of funny in this in this build. I was trying to get the kids a bit more involved. Like when the kids were young, I always viewed my running as like this kind of like selfish thing that I had to like squeeze in. And I mean, to be a successful elite athlete, you have to be super selfish. So it's hard to like get away from that, right? It'd be like, oh my gosh, how can I've got to find that hour in my day to get in this run kind of thing. But now the kids are getting older and like I'm viewing it more as something they can see me doing, and maybe it's good for them to see me like working to setting a goal, working towards it. But it was -3 degrees.
What? Why? Why was it minus
No,
three in
sorry,
May?
no, it was three. It was 3 degrees.
But
So
still,
they, yeah,
May.
yeah, it was 3 degrees when I went running. So they did not come with me, but I'm gonna hold them accountable now to join me on those Sunday. It's just like an easy 15K run. But we'll see. Actually, the other thing that with the kids is that Francine and I were talking to them about this. I was gonna train for this marathon. Maybe they should like chip in a bit more around the house. Goes back to your recovery thing. Like maybe you can give dad like a bit more time to just relax. Maybe do the dishes or clean up after dinner, clean up your rooms, do some laundry. Rob, they were into this because the carrot at the end is like if dad does well in this marathon, New York City, trip to New York City for the family, right? But Rob, I think they've done less around here since I started training for this marathon. They don't even know how to clean up their rooms anymore. I don't know. I'm gonna you're gonna check in with me on how the girls are doing through this build too, because they've been slacking off.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that. It's like with the girls who are they're getting old enough to now be able to like know, and maybe like I don't know how they're used to the internet. Like, do they understand the level of success you had in this sport and how much of a badass you were, or do they just keep you humble, being like, "Dad, you're such a loser." Like, do they get like how big of a deal being an Olympic runner is? Like, do they understand?
I think they get it. Yeah,
Okay,
I
good.
think I think they understand to a certain degree, but they're always there to keep you humble too, Rob. They will cut you down any day, put you in your place. Um, but yeah, they're fans of track and field. They're big Andre DeGrasse fans,
Nice.
uh, big Mohamed fans. So they kind of get like the sports we've exposed them to are mostly Olympic sports and not like the professional like NHL, NBA sort of stuff. Um, so they know that the Olympics is kind of the pinnacle of that. Whether or not they think I'm great because I went to the Olympics, it's up for debate.
I think as they get older, they'll realize more and more. Have either of them showed like kind of a leaning towards endurance sport in terms of their own kind of activity?
Not really. They both like it. They both do the cross country, and Francine and I are always trying to not like push them, because we want them to choose their own path. But they do the cross country with the school. They have fun. They do well, but they're not. It's not like they're miles ahead of every other kid. And
Yeah.
people are like, "Oh, it's because their dad was an Olympian and their mom was a Canadian champion." That's not that's not the case. But they like it, and that's all I want. They have fun with it.
Okay. I mean, I feel like that's healthy. Yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, they're so young that like if they fight, yeah, like, I think running is a sport where it's hard enough doing it when you love it. If you have someone else telling you to do it and you don't love it, it's like that's a good way to never run again in your life. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, they're having fun with it, and they set some little goals for themselves, and they do a little bit of training once in a while, but mostly just with our mini kids run club, so it's good. It's healthy.
Nice. And then, so how'd your workout go this morning?
This morning was okay. I'm actually finding that the Friday long run to Monday workout is pretty tough for me.
Yeah,
Like in terms of that recovery thing. Um, but I'm just gonna deal with it. I don't think I'm gonna change the schedule. I'm just gonna adjust. Unless I'm really banged up, then maybe I would push off the Monday workout a day. But for now, I'm just gonna adjust my expectations of my Mondays. So today we went out and did 8 by a K on, a K off workout that I know a lot of people have done, or something similar where you're kind of running that on K, decently hard, but the off K is not a recovery. It's like you
oh,
keep
you
going.
floating. That's a
Yeah.
Coach Rich special right there.
Yeah, that's the Coach Lee special. He had me doing those back in the day. And so, yeah, I did them once before in this build, talking about the repeatability of workouts. Um, Today went no better. I don't know. I find it to be a tough workout. And like I say, maybe I'm not like 100% recovered and ready to rock on it. But at the end of the day, I checked the box. My splits were okay. I think it was running like 310 to 315 for the ons and 335 to 345 for the offs. So that's like decent within the realm of like what I would want. It's a far cry from what I used to do, but I'll try not to think about that.
Yeah. I remember doing that workout, and you get to the end of, you're like, I just ran like a 66 minute half marathon during my workout today. All right, sick. I know I'm fit. What footwear would you wear for a workout like this?
I wore some supers. I wore the Saucony Elite. I think that's what they're called.
Yeah, yeah, it's a decent shoe for sure. What percentage? So what's your footwear breakdown look like? Because again, I'll go back to like another thing when we did the groups of miles and marathon and everything. Like we'd always show up like our was like you show up to workout with like 4 pairs of shoes. It's like, well, this is my warm up, this is for my tempo, and then I have my speed workout, and then I'm gonna cool down. Like it's, and then like a mile to marathon, it's like, all right, everyone, like now switch into your shoes and we'll get going. And people are like, what?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No one's switching shoes. They're wearing the same thing for everything. I, well, it's funny actually. On a workout like today's, I just wore them start to finish. It was that I always try and keep this one as just like as much of a continuous run as possible. Like the warm up just flows straight in.
Yeah.
Maybe you start to go pee quickly or something, but try and flow straight into the workout portion of it, and then the cool down. So I'll wear the super shoes for the entire thing. But if we're doing more of like an interval workout, um, I'll wear like a pair of trainers for warm up, switch shoes, like you say. Although there's a few times where I've not wanted to switch back for the cool down,
Yeah.
and I didn't one time, and Jake was making fun of me because I just didn't want to stop. I didn't think I would restart. Like I didn't think I would complete the cool down if I stopped to change back into my like easy day running shoes for the cool down. So I kept jogging around the block while he changed his shoes. So I just left my super shoes on.
Dude, sometimes the cooldown's the hardest part of the workout. Like it's because you're so locked in, and also and they're like, I can breathe, and your body just crumbles. And it's the worst.
Yeah, I'm less and less a fan of cooldowns. I don't know if it's as I get older or just in this build, but I would much prefer to warm up for 10, 15 minutes longer and be able to cut my cool down short than the other way around. Yeah. So yeah, I'm wearing mostly the super shoes for Monday if I'm doing a workout, usually just for the workout portion, but sometimes I won't take them off for the cool down. And then again on Friday, like when we did 3x8K, we did a warm up before that. I wore, just a cushioned lightweight trainer for that, and then switched into
Yeah.
the Puma crazy things, and then switched back to Easy Day trainers. And those are the only two. Like I've got two pairs of super shoes right now, and I've got two pairs of easy run shoes.
And that's the whole that's the rep that's whatever the
I've got
tool.
spikes, Rob. I've got spikes. I don't know why. I think maybe I thought I was doing on cross country one year and I bought them. Like I haven't even put the pins in. They've not been worn. So they're in the toolkit, but they're never going to get used.
So say you were coming to chase the pace in July, and you're like, I think I can run like 14:30, or at what point you putting spikes on? Because you also have to train in them. And the thing is, spikes shred you. I remember back like when we were back, it's like you pull out the spikes in like February, March. It's like, all right, well, my calves are gonna be sore until August. Let's go. And I think that's the thing for like maybe you and I, because like you get the idea, but like if you haven't worn them in a while and you put them in for a race, you're gonna feel so friggin' funny.
Yeah, I don't think the risk reward. I don't think it's there on the reward side of things for me. I don't know if these new, like I think the new super spikes are as much to rave about as the super shoes are for road running. But I would still be super wary of them. I actually had this conversation with one of my athletes who he's in his 40s and he's going to try some masters track stuff this summer, which I
Nice.
think is awesome. Like I'm super excited for him. But we did have this debate. Like he's a guy who I think maybe ran a little bit of track when he was in high school, but he probably hasn't put on a pair of spikes in 30 years. And I don't know. I think he's just going to have to find like a good, it's hard though, because on the track, the super shoes feel kind of weird. Like I'm one of those people who's like, oh yeah, I want to feel the track, and this concept people are like, I don't know what you're talking about, but it's like yeah, the super shoes are so high that I even find around the turns they feel a little bit weird. So
Yeah.
I don't think he should get spikes, but we'll see.
I had that. I literally had this conversation today with somebody about they asked what shoe I wore and even the half marathon. I was like, yeah, I just wore like the New Balance Rebel, and they're like, is that a? I was like, it's not plated, because I don't love the feeling of a plated shoe, and I was like, I don't need 90 seconds in my half marathon. I like to feel the ground. I feel like a little more organic, and I totally get the concept of speed and what that. But I like feeling the ground. I like the sense of feel, like you were just saying there. And it's but like I've seen kids in cross country races wearing like alpha flies for
Yeah,
like because if you're on like especially those NCAA kids, they're like on like a golf course. They're not even wearing spikes. They're just wearing super shoes. It's like, all right, wow, that's crazy.
that's crazy for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So yeah, it's ever evolving, and it is nice that there is footwear that it's not just this or this, right? There's a nice spectrum of footwear out there these days. Sick, man. Well, I'm glad you had a good week.
Yeah.
I'm glad things are heading. So are things so between last week and this week, are things heading in the proper direction that you're happy with the progress?
Yeah, I think I'm
All systems go.
doing well. I think it's all systems go, and we'll see. Like I don't want to get too worked up about any one workout or another between now and the race, but I think that long run this past Friday was like a good indicator that I need to not lose that pair of Pumas between now and the race, and that I don't need to like force it to try and get to some new level. I think if I keep doing things, knock on wood, um, I should be okay come
Okay.
race day.
Sick.
Hold me to that. Hold me
All
to that. Don't let me go out and say, well, I thought I could run 2:15 now, maybe. So I'm gonna go and try and do these workouts that would tell me I'm gonna run 2:15.
I love it. You're just going through like the natural progress of all the athletes. It's like take a step back. When you first started this, what would have been a great day? And that's still a great day. Absolutely. So that's next week. I want to talk. I mean, we're talking like the physical things. But next week, I really want to dive into the mental side of things. And in terms of like mental off, but also mental on in terms of capacity of managing discomfort. Because that changes with time too. So, but for now, I think that's a really good update. And I thank you again for taking time. Maybe if we find those norms, we can do the next episode from the couch. You can put your feet up.
Now we're talking. Multitasking is the thing. You need to multitask these days. So yeah, let's make that happen.
Yeah, we'll get the efficiency of it all, right? Balancing it all. But yeah, man. So have an awesome week of training. Thanks again, and I'm really enjoying this. It's fun to get the perspective, and it's fun to get the snapshot. And I think we've gotten really good feedback so far from people who I think are enjoying this new, seeing what this is like, and how we're all pretty much there. We're all the same. We're all the same. We're just trying our best, trying to run as fast as we can.
Yeah, it's cool. Thanks for having me.
Cheers. All right, beauty. How's that?
Awesome.
I thought that was good too. Yeah, it was really, really good. Yeah, I wanted to actually. I was like very tempted to lean in because like, oh, we could talk about like, there's the how we feel physically, but like how like our ability to, because, when you're young and fit, you can be so tough. You could be so tough, right? So we'll talk about that next week. I feel like I've gotten less tough. My ability to suffer is depleted.
For sure. For sure. I'm with you.